The national context for national reporting under the climate change conventions, we have a national context which consists of the Ministry of Spatial Planning and Environment that is in charge of the national report that needs to be developed. And then we receive data from several ministries, but focus especially on the ministries related to land policy and forest management, transport, communication and tourism, agriculture, husbandry and fisheries, public works, finance, and natural resources. And of course, we also have some key institutions who also deliver data, and that are the institutions called the Foundation for Forest Management and Forest Control, as well as the National Institute for Development and Environment in Suriname. So the MRV system of Suriname is based on a system which we call the Suriname Milieu Information Network. And from there, we have a website. It's called the Dondru website, which can be entered by dondru.sr. And it is a climate database to assess and track national climate change indicators and implementation of actions. The MRV is a tool, but it includes data that is stored within other systems, um, namely the National Forest Monitoring System, where you can find data regarded to land use, the Sustainable Forestry Information System Suriname, that stores data especially for the forestry sector, the satellite land monitoring system that is also part of SBB, where also you can find data related to land use and land cover. And finally, we also have data from the statistical office within Suriname, and they recently produced our first climate change statistics and indicators report. The greenhouse gas inventory captured data of the sectors energy, IPPU waste, and AFOLO. Here in the graphic, you can see that there is data stored from the year 2000 until 2017, and you can also see an equivalent emission per category per year of our emissions. The total aggregated greenhouse gas emissions are excluding removals. The year 2000 has an estimated emission of 2,756.5 gigaton CO2, and for the year 2017, an estimated emission of 3,591.5 gigaton CO2, with an increase of 2% per year. The primary emitter, or the main emitting sector, is the energy sector, followed by the AFOLO sector. With regard to the greenhouse gas inventory process, there were some challenges, and therefore we have identified some constraints and gaps which can be tackled with some activities that can lead to improvement for our upcoming reports, especially the BTR1. There we will focus on increasing awareness, especially of data providers, have more stakeholder engagements, and also determine the emission factors to better represent national circumstances. Mitigation actions and effects. For the mitigation actions, we are mostly reliable on climate change documents or policy documents related to mitigation. And there we focus especially on the multi-annual development plan from 2022 up until 2026, the nationally determined contribution 2, so our second NDC, in which 4 sectors have been captured: the forestry, energy, agriculture, and transports, and urban infrastructure. We also have a nationally appropriate mitigation action, which focus on rural electrification in the interior of Suriname, the RED Plus strategy, including the forest reference emission level reports. Suriname has submitted 2 FREL up until now, and also the HFLD Cruto of Paramaribo. The greenhouse gas reduction potential, if we look at the NAMA, where we have projects identified for the interior, the potential for those projects, if those projects are implemented, are a total of 1,638 ton CO2 emissions that can be reduced. And in the area of sustainable forest management practices, we have a climate smart forestry project. There we see that there is a possibility to have an emission reduction of 2,392.7 gigaton. For the energy sector, this is a total of emission reduction for 489 gigaton CO2. And for the agriculture sector, this is a total of 184.4 gigaton CO2 emissions. These actions and activities, as well as projects that have been identified for emission reductions, are based on projects that can be found in our NDC, the NAMA, and the Sustainable Forest Management Practices project, especially the climate smart forestry. And for the energy sector, there are some potential activities that also have been identified by the Energy Authority Suriname that are also included within the BUR as potential greenhouse gas reductions activities. In this slide, you can see the support received and needed, and which is also captured within the report. The financial support received is from various financial mechanisms, amongst other from the Green Climate Fund. We see an amount of 16.7 million towards readiness activities, 20 million from the IDB towards Sustainable Agricultural Productivity Program, from the JEF an amount of 35.3 million for 14 national projects, and part of 36 regional global projects totaling from US dollar 545.6 million. Through the Japan CARICOM Climate Change Partnership, we received an amount of US dollar 600,000. And from the Global Climate Change Alliance Suriname Adaptation Project, through the UNDP, we have a total budget of 3.4 million. And last, we also have a multi-annual indicative EU program which is a 7-year period program, of which the amount is 13.1 million. Finally, I want to conclude that most of the support that has been illustrated in the BUR is also part of the support that is needed for implementation of the portfolio of projects included in our second NDC, which has a total estimated budget of 696 million. In this slide, you can see the roadmap, which includes the planned climate change activities for the upcoming 5 years. And with regard to the transitioning to the enhanced transparency framework, we have already had a need assessment workshop with all stakeholders to prepare them for the upcoming reports, the BTR1 as well as the National Communication 4. There we had the opportunity to work towards solutions in order to collect and provide specific data and information for those reports. At the end, we all agreed to work towards having the BTR1 ready for submission by December 31st of the year 2024. Thank you. Bedankt. Grantangi.